Hi, I'm Laura Lohman from the blog Painted Paper. Have you ever wanted to know a secret to a great recipe? Do you need to spice up your painting projects in your classroom? Well, today I'm going to share with you some of my secret tips, along with key ingredients and the various tools that I use when painting with children in my classroom. So make sure you get your aprons and get ready to create with some good old-fashioned recipes from the art room. Okay, now I'm going to show you some of my favorite tools that I use when painting paper with my students. The first thing to a great recipe is the base. Okay, that is what you need for having an awesome recipe. Well, I use True Ray paper. I know it sounds like a commercial, but this stuff is awesome. It holds the weight of the paint and it also does not fade. This stuff I use pretty much all the time, even over white drawing paper. Another item that I use that I have found to be the best paint out there that I feel has been the Dick Blick Premium Tempera Paint. Other paints I've used in the past and they've changed the formulas. This stuff has been working awesome. It does hold its consistency, it's nice and smooth, and what I really like is that it's opaque. Instead of having transparent or watered down paints, which is like a bad batch of tapioca pudding, I really like this premium tempera paint. And the last thing is paintbrushes. I use these thick, inexpensive round brushes all the time. I have enough to probably make it through half the day. And the students really enjoy just dipping this into the paint and stamping it onto the paper. So these are my 3 must-haves for painting paper with my students. Okay, now if I were to start painting with my students, the first thing I would use is the styrofoam tray. This holds the paint extremely well and all the tools. And I also use these microwave plates. These are old. A parent donated these to my classroom and I have had these for years. I have also used paper plates, but that tends to get a little costly over time. And these are nice because I can just constantly wash them and be done with them. Okay, on to some inexpensive tools that I use in the classroom. And the first thing is this round paintbrush. This is what I use for painting with my students. This is the key to my painted paper, are these very inexpensive round brushes. Another one that I use a lot is this inexpensive shipping paper. This is great. It's just a foam piece of paper and you just cut the edges, and this is what I use to create a texture or leaves on a tree. Another tree project that I like, and it doesn't have to be a tree, it can be anything, is using a cardboard piece of paper. All you do is dip it into the paint and scrape away, and that gives you the really nice texture of a tree. These are from Lakeshore. I have ordered these many years ago. They have stood the test of time. They take a lot of abuse. They take a lot of paint. The students dip these into the paint and then stamp away. And this is another awesome texture on paper. Scouring pads work great for delicate little designs. And a scraper. Just dip this into the paint and drag it across. You get your lines. Large brushes work great for creating just large areas. And of course, I use a darker shade with white, and that gives that nice tint as well when painting. And then the paint brushes with the grippers. These are awesome when you want to show texture and small lines. Again, these are my staples that I use when painting paper with my students. And I hope that you have a chance to pick up some of these and find some recycled items for painting. Hopefully those tools will help you when creating your next painted paper project. My next step that I want to show you is creating these really fun painted trees called poplars, inspired by one of the great masters, Claude Monet. A good recipe starts with a great base. I use art history for my base for all my lessons. Lots of visuals are helpful for students to springboard ideas. I also love to incorporate poetry with the visuals. I have a great lesson to show you today. It's based off of Claude Monet's Poplars. This is a terrific recipe for success. Just like a beautiful cake has layers to it, so does this project. First, you will start with a good piece of colored construction paper to hold the weight of the tempera paint. Next, I like to add a little texture. My top pick is oil pastels, but crayons or chalk work well also. I drag the oil pastels around, giving some additional color to the colored construction paper. If you remember back to me speaking about the special tools, cardboard works great to give the illusion of peeling bark, such as the bark on a birch tree. Take your cardboard and dip it into the white paint. Carry over and lay your cardboard down on the construction paper. Then drag about 1 inch across. Keep on repeating this up the paper to create the trunks of the trees. Add some brown paint for added color. I suggest creating 3 to 5 trunks, as odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye. Now is the time to add rocks. I dip a large rounded brush into white paint and hop around at the bottom of the paper, creating overlapping dots. Next, add brown paint to create tints and shades on the rocks. Keep on hopping your brush around, thus creating textures. Let's add some leaves to our trees now by using analogous colors. First, let's look at the color wheel and discuss what are analogous colors. Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. When you mix two analogous colors together, it creates a beautiful third color. We also discuss complementary colors, which are opposite colors on the color wheel. I stress to my students that if they used complementary colors, their leaves would result in a muddy brown. Mixing complementary colors is like mixing up a bad batch of tapioca pudding. No thank you, I'll pass. As I previously showed you, one of the foam brushes that I use when painting with my students, you are going to take that brush and dip it into the analogous paints, gently tapping on the tops of the tree trunks. Keep on hopping around to create a tree full of leaves. So that the students don't have dull, muddy leaves, I have several pre-poured trays of different combinations of analogous colors for the students to choose from when painting the tops of their trees. Such colors would be yellow and orange, red and orange, yellow and green. To create a foam brush, first take shipping foam. You can find this at any shipping location. Mine is in a tube form. It was cut, rolled out, and then cut one small 1-inch strips. When you are done cutting, roll tightly and put a rubber band around it. These will last for many years to come. Here are a few completed examples. I hope you will find these key ingredients, tools, and successful tips helpful in your classroom as well. I have also created a digital lesson plan to go along with my presentation. Thanks for hanging out with me at the Art of Education Summer Conference. And remember, keep on creating. This is Laura from Painted Paper.